Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Spenser Confidential, starring Mark Wahlberg, Winston Duke, Alan Arkin, and Eliza Schlesinger. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Directed by Peter Berg. Now, before I get into the review of this movie, welcome back to Peter Berg-Mark Wahlberg collaboration. And I ended it with Mile 22 a couple of years ago, and that's still, in my opinion, the weakest one, not to give any spoilers for this film yet. But I went back and watched every single one of them, except for Mile 22. I fell asleep in that one in order to lead up to this one. So what do I think of this movie? Well, let's get into it, shall we? We open the movie with Spenser, played by Mark Wahlberg, beating up his boss, Captain John Boylan. And then we jump 5 years later. Spenser gets out of prison the right way, and as a going away present, he gets stabbed before he gets out, and his father Henry, played by Alan Arkin, picks him up as Sissy Davis, played by Eliza Schlesinger, forgive me if I said that wrong, tries to see him, but he gets the fuck out of there, and he gets home and finds Driscoll, who's an old friend of Spenser's, from the force, as he's an ex-cop, Spenser is. And he wants to move to Arizona, and I am having a fun time with these characters so far, and I'm kind of like this opening. I'll talk about Sissy in a minute, but Spenser has a roommate at his father's place called Hawk, played by Winston Duke from Black Panther and Us, and he gives this movie electricity, in my opinion. Captain Boylan is killed while talking to his daughter over the phone about some book report she's doing by some cop-hating gangsters in Boston. And I like how Boston looks in this movie. And the wife of Terrence Graham, named Latita, finds her husband in a car as he's dead. And I do enjoy how these characters come into the story. Spenser goes into Henry's gym to train Hawk as Sissy comes in to harass Spenser as they used to date until he went to prison. And honestly, Sissy is the most unlikable bitch I've seen in any movie, even more bitchier than Melissa Benoist's character in Patriots Day. Spenser, after hearing about Terrence's death on the TV, tries to get some answers from Scott Traylor and helps Latita find the truth on why Terrence got killed in the first place. And I do like the movie when the movie gets to the plot, as the cops believe that Terrence was the suspect. Spenser goes to a place to eat with Hawk until he uses the bathroom, and Sissy comes in to hump his ass in the bathroom, and I thought, what the fuck? And that's unnecessary right off the fucking bat. Spenser finds a yellow Corvette and tries to go after it and wrestles with a dog that looked kind of like a hairy German Shepherd in my mind. But let's move on. While Hawk gets the license plate number and tells him a couple of minutes later, and they go to the owner of the yellow Corvette, and these scenes I'm going along with as I turned off my brain, and I'm enjoying this as a B movie. Yes, I said it, a B movie. Spenser visits an old friend in prison to get information about Boylan and their meeting spot called Wonderland, where they're building a casino that's corrupt, and Boylan gets a cop's funeral while Terrence's funeral is small, and people believes he's a crook, and Spenser goes into a Mexican restaurant, and some gangsters attack Spenser as he almost gets killed until Hawk runs into the restaurant. Then Spenser and Hawk and Henry aren't safe now, because the bad guys know who Spenser is now, and hide at Sissy's place with a bunch of dogs, and Latita's place gets broken into, and Spenser comes to help, and I'm having a good old fun time at this point with this movie. Spenser finds out Driscoll is the motherfucker behind the death of Boylan. Terrence and leading crooked cops to build... and he's behind the death of Boylan, Terrence, and leading crooked cops to building Wonderland, and the FBI don't do shit about it, and those motherfuckers need to know Driscoll with some drugs and gets the rest of the information about the drugs in a truck and one guy escapes as they get fucked, and Henry gets kidnapped by Driscoll, and that's when the climax begins, and I like this setup before the climax ever begins. Sissy comes in with the car and gets Henry out of there, and gets a truck called Black Betty to start off the action, as Spenser goes after Driscoll, and Hawk beats up and scares his goons away, as Spenser catches up to Driscoll, and they fight, and Spenser puts Driscoll and proves away, and proves they've been dealing drugs and money, and clears Terrence's name. And he with Hawk, Henry and Sissy go to a restaurant called Lobster, and yes, in Boston, or somewhere in the Boston Beach, I would say. And Spenser sees someone who he went to high school with, and this climax sets up a sequel, and it was fun in my opinion, anyways. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.8 out of 10. I had a good old fun time with this movie, and as it's a turn off your brain kind of B movie, I do enjoy being around the characters, except for Sissy, as she bugged me. This is better than Patriots Day and much better than Mile 22, at least in my opinion anyways. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for coming back to this Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg collaboration. And until they make another one, and action.